So let's start over. So based on the information I have, no protesters are allowed on school property. School property is not public property. School property is owned by the school district.
If you ask a police officer why he or she became a cop, they're conditioned to say to serve and protect. Case laws like Castle Rock v. Gonzalez will tell you that statement of serve and protect is a misnomer and most certainly not true. Police officers are allowed to lie via Supreme Court. We got another new channel, folks. This guy reached out to me and sent me this video. What baffles me is how police officers don't seem to know that people have rights. This is a short video. Let's go and subscribe. Let's show them some support. And let's make sure that these schools are teaching our kids the right curriculum and stop with the nonsense that's going on in these schools. All right, folks, here's your video.
You're making contact with the subject on school property. Stand by. How you doing, sir? I'm Officer Rodriguez with the Georgetown Police Department. I see your identification. I believe you're on school property, and I don't believe you're allowed to be on school property.
School property is private property, is public property paid for by the taxpayers. I have every right to be on here. Here's what before you lose your qualified immunity, I think you should reach out to Lieutenant Worsham. Tell him Lieutenant Worsham, Rector. I have his email.
Okay.
This is 100% public property. I have every right to be here. You're going to lose your qualified immunity, and I'm going to sue you if you try to move me off public property. And Texas is not an ID state. You have no right to ask me for ID unless I've committed a crime.
Okay. So let's start over. So based on the information I have, no protesters are allowed on school property. School property is not public property. School property is owned by the school district.
Authoritarians, they want the money and the power. When the cameras come out, they get fearful and cower. The wise recognize a coward dies 1,000 deaths. What's left but for us to do what's right? Social consciousness not being taught in sociology, but sexuality is being taught in today's biology. Knowledge of your human rights being dumbed down by psychology, despotism, capitalism, socialism. We forgot the wisdom, and now we're sitting in a broken system.
Which is paid for by taxpayers' dollars.
Number two.
You've got to Google public property.
Number two, the reason I'm asking you for identification is because based on that assumption, with that information that I have at hand, you're committing the criminal act of criminal trespassing.
No, I have
Once
to be...
you commit a criminal act or a suspicion of a criminal act, the failure to ID law applies until requesting your ID.
That's a secondary charge.
So
secondary charge.
The primary
3802. What does 3802
The
say?
primary charge is criminal trespassing.
What is 3802?
And before I can continue my investigation of criminal trespassing,
I'm not
I
talking
would
to
need
you
your
anymore.
identification.
Nope.
May I ask for your identification, sir? Because you're
You
on
can
school
ask.
property.
I'm not going to give it to you.
That's fine, sir. No problem. Yeah, you want to give me your name or anything like that?
I'm not going to give you anything. I don't even have to talk to you.
Okay.
Here's what's going to happen. I guarantee you, by the time I get home, this is going to be uploaded
That's
to
fine.
your chief. And you're going to learn about 3802. You're going to learn about losing your...
3802.
What is
3802 is
3802?
for failure to ID. I'm here for criminal trespassing, and criminal trespassing...
I have to be warned.
Okay.
I have to be warned first.
Okay.
Before, yeah?
Okay.
So here's the thing.
So the information is incorrect, that none of the trespassers were warned to stay over there for the rest of your colleagues on public property,
What
which is
criminal
the
statute is
sidewalk.
that? What
which
penal
is
code?
the sidewalk over there. But you
What
said
penal code?
warned.
What penal
And
code?
so have you been warned before?
What penal code?
Have you been warned before?
Give me a statute.
You stated that you needed to be warned before.
How many complaints with IA do you have?
Then why do we do this?
How many complaints with IA do you have?
Then I'm going to politely ask you to step off.
And I'm going to deny
Step
because of the
off
way you
school
came up.
property
Because of the way
and
you
go
came
over
up.
there with the rest of your colleagues. City properties anywhere from the sidewalk and the easement onto the street, public street.
Who
This
funds
is public, private property.
who funds school districts?
Not a problem, sir.
Who funds school districts? Call you lieutenant before you get a big lawsuit.
No problem. Go ahead and stay here. As of right now, you're being detained for criminal trespassing and failure to ID. Okay?
Okay, then I refuse to talk.
Hallowed be thy name. We need a better tomorrow. So these freedom fighters risked their freedom for you. In this tyrannical world, we had to fight for you. Until we're victorious, to feel empowered, it feels glorious. So let's all stand up, come together, righteous warriors. The fate of the world is in your hands. Left, right, now, forever. Pick your cameras up, let's record together.
The court is back in session.
Court of public opinion.
Court of public opinion.
Court of public opinion.